Hello everyone, I hope all is well. I just wanted to post a quick video for you here to kind of go over a little bit more our final project for this term for our social media course, to just give you a bit more insight on what the final project is and what's expected and how we'll kind of work through it this term. Please feel free if you have any questions outside of this video, outside of you reading your guidelines and rubrics, to post your questions in a general discussion forum, or you can reach out to me and email me anytime, and I'm there to assist you whenever needed. So, for the course, I know that we all are familiar and comfortable with using social media for personal reasons. We all use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, more so for personal reasons. I know some of you have already had experience using it professionally or for business, but what we kind of focus on throughout the term and through this course is incorporating social media for professional communication. So your final project this term is the completion of a social media consultation document. Now don't let that overwhelm you too much. It's more informational than specific. So again, you do not have to create a social media strategy or break down step by step your social media outline or plan for the business that you selected. It's more informational on communicating with a business on how social media can be used and benefit you in meeting your social media goals. So throughout the course, every lesson that we work on, each module each week, we start from the history of social media. We touch what best practices are when using social media, strategy, crisis management, but each of these module topics and weekly topics will help you to build on your strategy and help you to compile that final project by the time we end the course and by the time you turn in your final product. So I like to tell students to just assume as you are approaching or compiling your project that you are just speaking casually to the owner of the organization, the final project organization that you selected. You're speaking casually and letting them know how using these social media platforms will help them to meet and reach business goals. Help them to make improvements where you see that they can make improvements, or where they're not doing so well with reaching their customers, their target audience. So I like to let students know when you're compiling the paper, compile the paper as if you're using it to inform these decision makers who are not so social media savvy, how to plan and use social media to benefit them the best ways possible. So again, in week 1, I had you select 2 organizations. The first was your social organization, and this is that company with strong social media presence. That's your Nikes, that's your Starbucks, that's your Walgreens, that's your Walmarts, your Jeep. The companies that you know have a strong following, have a strong presence, and are using social media well. And then the other company was your final project organization. And this is a company with little to no social media presence. One that you see that needs help, and we want to show them some social media love. We want to show them what they can do or some ways to help them meet the goals that they set out for their business, and incorporate social media with the advertising they're already doing, with the marketing they're already doing, with the outreach that they're already doing, how using these platforms can help them or accompany them to meet those goals. So we just want to make sure that the company that you selected can really benefit from using or being on social media. We know that social media is not from everyone, but we just want to make sure that this company that you use will benefit based off of what you see their needs are and based off of what you see social media can do for them. So a good resource is always the guide to choosing your organization, the do's and don'ts. I hope that you've had a chance to look at this and that help you to select a company, a strong company. Again, you want a company that needs some help. You don't want a company that's really using social media, know what they're doing on social media, because again, if they're using it and they're doing things on social media right, how or what can we offer them that they're not already doing or they may not already be experienced in? So again, that's why I want to make sure that it's a company that can really benefit from social media. And also, that's why I also like for students, when you come to me and it's your own business, your family business, or a friend's business, or a business in the neighborhood that you can personally touch and reach out to, because at the end of this course, this project could possibly help them to do better, communicate better, for them to understand why they should be on social media. Trust me, what we learn throughout the course and what you compile and bring to this presentation, it could definitely help someone who doesn't have a clue of what social media is, what it can do, and what businesses are really taking advantage of these days. So to get going, the first thing I always tell everyone, if you have not done so, please take a look at your guidelines and rubrics for your project or for assignments, because these are your blueprints. These will detail to you from start to finish, from A to Z, what you should include in all of your papers, the critical elements you should be addressing. I grade off of the rubric. So again, if you're waiting for me to grade papers or you're waiting to receive a grade, trust me, everything that is in that rubric that you're reading, I'm reading when I'm grading. So just to help you and to help us, you should just be sure to address and include all critical elements that you see in your rubric should be included in your papers and your milestones. That way you know that that's kind of the blueprint of everything. That's your map of everything that you should be including. Also throughout the course, it's like a building block. I tell everyone, we start from week 3 and we continue through week 7 and we work together, and every milestone, everything that you compile is like a building block to the next section, the next paper, the next part of your assignment. So again, we work together so you don't get so overwhelmed, or you don't feel overwhelmed like I have this big project that I have to do, but we're working together and I'm helping you through out the process throughout the total course. So again, we build and compile your paper throughout this entire term. So milestone 1. What you'll be working on this first milestone is your social media overview and your business goals. These are section 1 and 2 of the paper. So this week you're going to submit a draft of your social media overview and the business goals. Those are the 2 elements that you want to make sure that you address. Pretty much overview of social media and how it may be used by businesses. And again, in week 1, week 2, we kind of touched on that. Week 3, we'll build on that a little bit more, but that's what you should make sure you incorporate in the paper that you submit. So the first thing that you want to do is a social media overview. Again, this is your foundation. This is a history of social media. This is pretty much a breakdown. What you should include is how social media has been used by businesses over the past 10 years. What have you seen? What has changed? What has improved? How have businesses really maximized their potential to reach customers, clients, target audience using social media? So again, you want to support this with research and giving your overview, pretty much the start of social media. What was the first kind of examples of businesses using social media and how the past 10 years of that has looked. So again, you want to include that in your paper. Another thing you want to include in your paper is best practices. This week we began to talk about best practices, and outside of this announcement, I'll post an additional announcements that speak to you more in your textbook. There are great resources if you go to the glossary of best practices, but this week we are getting into best practices and exactly what that is when using social media by businesses. So you want to include that in your paper. And lastly, in this first section, you want to include the opportunities and limits of social media as a communication tools. So pretty much to simplify that, think pros and cons of using social media. We know that you can get a message out to people, a million people, with one tweet or one post or one status update. However, if one customer has one complaint, that it gets viewed by a million people, and how you respond and how you react to that complaint or that negative comment, that is part of, a con of social media. So again, you want to explain the opportunities and limits of social media. The next section of the paper that you turn in is going to reflect or focus on business goals. So in this section, you want to help your organization uncover specific goals. So a lot of you, when you made your selection, if it was a personal business, your own business, someone you know, a family member, or someone close to you, you took a look and you saw already kind of what's the current state of their business, where you see they need to go, and where you see that they are not, and how social media can help. And this is kind of the same thing that you want to include. Again, you want to set the foundation of the business. Let us know what this business is, what are their goals, and how you see social media helping them. So you want to address business goals in section 2 of your paper, and then the current state of what they're doing right now, where you see them at. And then you need to select 2 of the following goals. There's four goals. Do you think they need to drive traffic to their website, increase brand awareness, connect with customers and clients, or demonstrate their expertise? Out of these 4 goals, just select 2, the 2 most important things that you see looking at this business that they should be addressing, and how social media will help them address or meet these goals. And then lastly, you want to explain how audience engagement through social media can help the business achieve its goals. Again, show some examples from a company that may be in the same industry, from a company, maybe your social organization is it a good example for you to follow. But again, everything that you do, you want to support. If you make suggestions, again, think about it. If you were taking it to a CEO, your suggestions are great, but them having some solid foundation or solid examples of a company in their industry in the same field, or how this other big Fortune 5 company is succeeding on social media. You want to make sure you support it with examples of how you feel it can achieve its goals. Show some examples of how another business achieved their goals on social media. And so another thing that I tell you to always, no matter what we do, if you're doing a journal, if you're doing a milestone, if you're doing your discussion, make sure that you, again, review your rubric, and in that rubric is always formatting guidelines. Just make sure that you're aware of all these things. The most important thing here that I look for is the APA formatted resources. Again, I'm going to post some more resources for you to review, or some more examples for you to have to refer to. Do not forget about our Writing Center, a great resource, free resource for you guys to utilize and use throughout this term. If you need the help, just if you want to run your paper by them for them to review it before you submit it to me, it's a great resource, you guys. So if you can use that, if you have questions about what an APA formatted resources is, or reference is, citation is, they would definitely help you. But again, that's the main thing. At least 3 you want to make sure you include in all of your papers, all of your milestones, and definitely at the least 3 in your final project that you submit to me. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you guys. Have a great day.